When you think of sponges, you probably think about the sponge in your kitchen. Believe it or not, your kitchen sponge may actually have come from a sea sponge. Sponges are multicellular animals that lack through tissues. They only have a few cell types and lack nerve and muscle cells. For your information, the satellite body of a sponge is perforated by many pores. Water is allowed to move through their bodies through a canal system of pores. The beating of flagella causes the water to flow through the sponges. Water flows through the pores into the central cavity and out through the osculum. Because sponges lack mouths, they must eat by pumping water through their bodies. They filter water to obtain their food. Because of that, they know as sessile filters, which means they filter the water to separate out their organism and nutrients they want to eat or don't want.
What about eating?
I'm a sponge. I'll just filter feed.
They are also sessile objects, which means they cannot move from one place to another. Sponges reproduce both asexually and sexually. They reproduce asexually by budding and it produces colonies of sponges. Do you know that during sexual reproduction, eggs and sperm are released into the central cavity and the zygote develops into a flagellated larva? Sponges are capable of regeneration or growth of a wool from a small part. Okay, let me explain more details about the sponges. First of all, sponges contain a flagellum. Flagellum are used to control the movement of water. And here, the osculum. Osculum is a large opening to the outside through which the current of water exits after passing through the central cavity. Then, sponges have four major cell types. First, amoebocyte. Amoebocyte is for transport of nutrients, secretion of specules, and production of gametes. Secondly, the specules. The specules will provide structure support, minimize the metabolic cost of water exchange, and deters predators. As for the pore here, it allows sponges to filter the water around them for food, and it is actually made up of four sides. And last but not least, epidermal cells. It is functioned to form the skin on the outside of the sponges.
For ctenophores and cnidarians, these two animals have true tissues, and as embryos, they have two germ layers, which is ectoderm and endoderm, and as adults, they are radially symmetrical. Going in depth into ctenophora, also known as comb jellies, they are solitary free-swimming invertebrates brain. They are largest animals propelled by using cilia, which help them to swim. They are body made up from mesoglea. They do not have stinging cells and capture their prey by chloroplasts. They contain ancient DNA sequences, and lastly, they are bioluminescent, which means they can produce their own light, which they use to avoid getting eaten, or in some cases, they use to attack prey. These specific ctenophora are called Spingopetia, which have 8 rows of horns or 8 rows of cilia they have two tentacles which are armed with chloroplasts, which produce a sticky secretion that helps them to capture their prey. And as light refracts and starlight, this makes it look as if they produce rainbow-like colors, which make a false appearance of bioluminescence because these particular species do not produce their own light. One of the famous Nigerian examples is jellyfish. You might be wondering how jellyfish capture their prey. Jellyfish actually eat many different types of things such as small plants, zooplankton, fish eggs, and small fish called larvae. Because jellyfish are slow-moving weak animals, they rely on their thousands of venom-containing stinging cells called cnidocytes to capture and immobilize their prey. When an outside force triggers a stinger, meaning when a creature makes contact with tentacles, the cells will open, letting the ocean water rush in. This causes the stinger to shoot out into what triggers the action. Once it's there, venom is released, causing the organism to paralyze. By the way, all of this happened within a million of seconds. Oh, and did you know that jellyfish have been on Earth for millions of years even before dinosaurs? And the largest species of jellyfish, called the lion's mane, has tentacles that can extend to 100 feet, which is longer than a blue whale, but some other species are as small as a pinhead.
Okay, now moving on to the nidrans. What is nidrans? Nidrans are tubular or bell-shaped animals that is mainly found in shallow coastal water. Each nidocyte has a fluid-filled capsule called nematocyte. The body of nidrans is two-layer sets. The first one is outer tissue layer, that is protective epidermis. The second one is inner tissue layer, that is gastrovascular cavity. Gastrovascular cavity can be used to digest food and also as supportive hydrophobic skeleton. There are two basic body of nidrans. The first one is the mouth of the flip, that is directed upward, and the second one is the mouth of jellyfish or medusa, that is directed downward. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about nidrans diversity. The first diversity is sea anemones. The sea anemones are sessile flaps that is attached to the submerged rock, timber, or other substrate. It is colorful, and their outward turn or disc contain tentacles that is containing nematocyte. The second one is corals. Corals resembles sea anemones that are encased in a calcium carbonate. They are live in colonies that is vary in shape and build coral reef. If you haven't noticed, climate change, specifically human-produced triggers, basically whatever can change the water around coral reef, can damage them, including temperature, acidity, salinity, depth of water, daily amount of sunlight, concentration of dissolved gases, and even the increased motion of water as the result of increasing frequent hurricanes can damage the coral. And it just so happens, humans causes all these things to change in some way. Global warming increases water temperature and causes the sea levels to rise. Pollution can link damage in chemicals directly into the water, while increased levels of gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide released. The burning of fossil fuels can dissolve into the ocean or rainfall and turn them into acid. The negative impact of this is that limestone, the material that coral and other sea creatures use to create their homes, dissolve more easily when these acids are present in high quantities. Then the use of fertilizers can create nutrient-rich runoff, which can then result in huge bloom algae. This can both block out the sun and soak up all the oxygen in the water and leave none for the organism like corals. This is called eutrophication. They can block out the sun from the corals on the ocean floor, which the algae in the core will need to photosynthesize. Plastics thrown in the ocean can become toxic for organisms in the ocean. Even sunscreen has chemicals that damage coral. All this amount is a massive increase in the amount of coral bleaching happening globally, with things getting worse every year. The biggest bleaching event ever recorded occurred just recently over the course of El Nino cycle of 2040 to 70, where bleaching of over 70% of the world's corals was recorded.
Now, I am going to explain more about Nigerian diversity. Firstly, the Portuguese man of war. Many of us have assumed that Portuguese man of war is an odd-shaped medusa. It is wrong. This living organism is actually a colony of polyps. Other polyps which bud from this one are specialized for feeding or reproduction. A long single tentacle armed with numerous nematocysts arises from the base of each feeding polyp. So, if you are a swimmer and you accidentally come upon a Portuguese man of war, you might get very painful and serious injuries from the stinging tentacles. On the other hand, true jellyfish also a type of Nigerians. It is also known as sea jellies. Medusa is the primary stage and the polyp remains small. Jellyfish are a type of a zooplankton. They feed on a variety of invertebrates and fishes and are themselves food for various marine animals such as fish, turtle, and also eaten by humans. In addition, Hydra is also an example of Nigerians. The body of Hydra is small, tubular polyp about 1/4 of an inch in length. The opening area, which are mouth and anus, is in a raised area surrounded by 4 to 6 tentacles that contain large number of nematocytes. Also present in the epidermis of Hydra are nematocysts, which contain cnidocytes and sensory cells that make contact with the nerve cells within a nerve net. Hydra reproduce asexually by forming buds and also can reproduce sexually, in which the sperm from testes swim for an egg within an ovary. Like two sponges, Nigerians have a great regenerative powers, and Hydra can grow an entire organism from a small piece.